Welcome to DABCC Radio,
where smart people listen.
Virtualization and Cloud Talk,
Featuring cutting-edge solutions from the hottest companies around the globe.
broadcasting from the DABCC offices in sunny Sarasota, Florida.
Surrounded by computers, books, and Legos.
A Microsoft MVP, Citrix Charter CTP, VMware vExpert.
And your host, Douglas Brown.
Hello, this is Doug Brown, and welcome to another episode of DABCC Radio. We have a fabulous episode. We have a really exciting episode for you today. We're just really, this is great. We have Bill from the CTO over at MTM Technologies with us today, and he's going to talk about an app that they've created, a solution they've created. They call it the Anywhere App. But it's more than just an app. It's not just an app. It's much more than just an app. And Bill's one of the most excited people I think I've ever met, and I've met a lot of excited people. He loves what he does, and his enthusiasm, his passion just bleeds through. And these are the type of people I like listening to. These are the type of people I like hanging out with. These are the type of people I like to say, what are you on to? And I want to be on that also, because these are the movers and the shakers. And so I'm really excited to have Bill come on and talk about what MTM's doing, but more so talk about the industry as a whole. So this is not just an MTM podcast. It's not really even an MTM podcast at all. It's more of a podcast about what is going on in this industry today from a guy that gets to see it each and every day at one of the biggest integrators in the world. So I'm really excited. And with no further ado, let's just dive into it. I don't need to ramble. Let's just dive into it. So here's my podcast with Bill, the CTO over at MTM Technology. Okay, Bill, thank you so much for taking the time to do this with us. We've talked for 30 minutes. We've recorded nothing. So I think it's time to get this thing going. What do you think?
Oh, I absolutely agree. It's too bad the audience didn't hear the lineup for this conversation. It's been thoroughly amusing, but it's a pleasure to be here, and thank you so much, Doug.
Oh, I thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to this. So we mentioned it's surprising we've never really done things together. So I'm really looking forward to this, and this will be, I hope you know, this won't be the first podcast we do together. So you're now stuck with me. Is that okay?
That's quite all right. You bring on the super glue, and we're going to have a lot of fun. This will be good.
Perfect. So, okay, so let's get to this. As always, my first question is, who are you? So I can't skip this one. Who are you, and what do you do over at MTM?
You know what? Probably the best question here to kind of get all of us riled up and super, super energized. I am Bill Kleyman, your friendly neighborhood chief technology officer at MTM Technologies. Definitely been working with IT for a really, really long time. You can tell that I've had too much coffee already this morning, because technology and IT and cloud and all this cool stuff really, really gets me energized, and I love talking about different kinds of solutions. But at a very high level, I started off with MTM about 6.5 years ago as one of the senior virtualization and cloud architects, and just had a wonderful, wonderful opportunity, Doug, to work with a lot of different kinds of customers, work with different kinds of technologies, influence strategies, decisions, understand deeply what organizations and customers are, trying to do, not just with their IT architecture, but really with their users, their business, incorporating various types of elements and creating better competitive strategies. Now, outside of MTM, I am a published writer, author, blogger, so you may have seen me on places like Tech Target, Information Week, Dark Reading, CBS Interactive, Slashdot, ZDNet, Web Host Industry Review, Data Center Knowledge, and a few other places where I've done podcasts. I've even written a few chapters in places like Pearson Press and IBM as well. And I get a chance to talk about what I see at MTM Technologies, what we're doing with our customers, and I get a really fun opportunity to write about it, educate the industry via blogs or maybe like a white paper or even a podcast here and there. And then really get a chance to bring all of this back to you, Doug, to people listening to this podcast, and really, help people understand what's happening in the digital world with cloud computing, data security, and so on. And then most recently, just kind of doing a little bragging here, it was ranked number 4 data security expert by Analytica, and then number 16 cloud influencer in the world by Analytica as well. That was in 2016. Hopefully we'll get that ranking again this year. But that's me at a high level, and I'm excited to be here.
Well, that is very cool, man. This is what we bring to you, DABCC radio listeners. True rock stars.
There we go. Hear the guitar riff in the background. That's right, Doug.
I'll throw that in. I'll put some. I'll add it in a different track. How's that sound?
That's awesome.
I didn't do that. Okay, so can you tell us a bit about MTM? What are you guys doing over at MTM? You're an integrator. Tell us a little bit.
Yeah. So MTM Technologies, just an unbelievable VAR integrator and industry and customer partner that's been impacting this entire wonderful world of IT and technology. Get this, Doug and listeners, since 1986.
Oh my Lord!
And can you believe it? We started off on the East Coast, and this entire awesome manifest destiny all the way to the West. And then taking up bits and pieces along, obviously in Texas and St. Louis and Chicago, Milwaukee, Ohio, obviously in California as well, and everywhere in the middle too. If you can find us out there, definitely just visit MTM.com, click on a map, and you'll see where we are. But what's really interesting, Doug, is that not a lot of people know what MTM stands for originally, and it's actually micros to mainframes. And if you ever see us and you ask me that question, you'll get a gold star for actually knowing that. Now we'll just say something like making technology mobile, but we have been around for a long time. We've understood what happens to our customers, this digital journey that they're going on right now, understanding where there's legacy components, where there's this bridge into cloud, and all of the amazing solutions and technology that helps create an IT architecture that's truly aligned with the business. Now, what does that mean at a high level? Obviously, virtualization, cloud, mobility, security, way beyond managed services. We don't even call ourselves professional services anymore. We've got innovation services where our architects and engineers come in, help design and deploy solutions where they're trained not just to focus on technology, but to focus on business, users, outcome, and most of all, the experience of what this technology can bring to a business. So we have actually evolved with the market. Today, we're a leader in the virtualization, cloud, data center space. We're absolutely a leader in creating these powerful digital journeys for organizations. Now, I know that was extraordinarily verbose, but this company has gone on an amazing journey itself as we kind of grow and evolve. And I know you're going to talk about this a little bit later, developing new kinds of solutions to impact just companies, what they're doing with cloud, how they're creating their digital strategies, and how we can remove any kind of barrier that some of these companies might be experiencing today. So we are kind of the quintessential digital organization, helping organizations and other companies move forward in today's digital age.
Bill, that's awesome. That's awesome. Digital journey, innovation services. You have like the best buzzwords ever. This is great.
Well, you want to try and evolve, Doug. It's because professional services, and even from that perspective, it is a buzzword and it's kind of gimmicky and catchy, but there's a lot of substance behind it as well. We don't just want to come in and do professional services, deploy a NetScaler, for example. We want to come in, deploy a NetScaler and say, Mr. Customer, you're not using an app firewall in this architecture and you could really increase security. Or coming in and saying, well, you could do better things with your storage or your architecture here where you're already investing in this stuff. You don't have to spend any more money, but you can design or deploy something a little bit better. That's innovation rather than just coming in and doing professional services. So yes, a little bit gimmicky, but there's a lot of substance behind it.
I don't mean gimmicky at all. And I love what you just said because I think my life changed when I met this guy named Doug Shreve. And if anyone remembers my old methodology in a box from way, way back when, it was written as a thank you for him because what he taught me is exactly what you just said. And that was he sat me down and he said, Doug, you're a good engineer. You can build a great network, but if the end users don't perceive it's a great network, you'll never be a great engineer, quote unquote. And I looked back and I was like, well, what are you talking about? I'm a great engineer, blah, 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 blah. And he said, let me teach you about perception. Let me teach you about how to be a consultant. Let me teach you about how to be a sales guy. Let me teach you how to do your job. And I was like, I know how to do my job. And he's like, no. Do you know how to build something? He goes, that's just a tech. Let me teach you how to walk into a customer and solve problems, to look at what they're doing when you go out there to fix it or install a NetScaler, and maybe you can find other issues that you can help them with, that you can, like you said, innovate, you can turn them on to something, hey, have you heard about this thing? And we grow our business. They're better off, and everybody wins and you become a professional. and it completely changed my life. So whenever I hear this from somebody, especially integrators, like yourself, I just get so happy because that's the true markup of what should be going on. So many people just go in and, oh yeah, I can do that, and they install it and they walk out the door. That's I mean, that works if that's what the customer wants, right? But there's so much more to be that we can give to our customers, right? It's a relationship. It's not just a job.
Couldn't agree with you more, Doug. And just to kind of summarize your point there, it's so far beyond just coming in and bringing in a piece of technology. Really, you learn how to bring value, IT and business value. Here's what this can do for you. Here's what this can do for your experience and your customers. And just to kind of piggyback off that, I've learned, even as an engineer and an architect, you can put in the best piece of technology and architecture into an environment that's out there. But if the customers or your end users don't know what it is, or don't know how to experience it, or don't know how to use it, that's it. There goes your project and your amazing piece of technology. So you absolutely need to bring value to the end users, the people leveraging this stuff. And you got to make it easy. You got to make it simple. And even if it's custom, it doesn't have to be challenging. You always have to think about the end user. So how you consume this technology, and this is Doug and everyone listening on DABCC, this is the evolution of this digital framework, is how you're consuming this ecosystem, these technologies, and then working with the right people that can help you consume it as well. I mean, that's value, effectively.
Yeah. You're preaching the playbook here. From what Sharif taught me, he told me, he said, Doug, if you build, quote unquote, you can build a network where a hand comes out of the monitor and scratches your ass when it itches. But if the end users don't know how to use this feature or that it exists, then it's useless.
I'm sure Apple's working on that next one.
I think so. I think Google is. That's next April Fool's joke.
Oh my God! Google Home scratch my butt.
Yeah, exactly. That would be cool. So we're going to talk about MTM Anywhere today, but we're going to sort of lead up to MTM Anywhere, which is the innovation you guys are doing around there. So I'm going to throw basically a bunch of, you talked about we like to educate the industry. So you can educate me and hopefully some other people, and I'll throw in my 2 cents. So let's just throw out a bunch of things at each other and see where it goes. Sound fun?
I think that sounds great. Start throwing.
Okay. So digital entity. Nowadays in our world today, we have a bunch of new words and new things, and they mean so many different things to so many different people, right? And, we have things like, cloud, digital transformation, digital. So what does digital entity mean to you, and what should it mean to us?
Man, Doug, this is the pinnacle of the conversation here as we drive down into more of what we're going to be discussing here a little bit. But oh my goodness, this word digital, a part of it's been driving me crazy, right? As a blogger, as an industry guy, I see this word a lot, almost to the days of when we started seeing cloud come in, right? And we are smart people. We know that the word, I'm using air quotes, you can't see it in a podcast, but cloud isn't necessarily anything new, right? We've had it in the days of DARPA and ARPANET when we had distributed computing and being able to basically at a very high level process data between two different points, right? That was your rudimentary cloud. But then the word came out, everything became more popular, and then marketing people took over. Well, it kind of feels like that term digital is starting to do that again. So let me take a minute here. And everyone listening on DABCC and Doug, fearless leader here, I really hope this defines it for everybody at least a little bit. First of all, there's no question in my mind that organizations, that various types of companies, everyone is going to become a digital organization, a digital entity, a security digital organization, where the amount of data that we're simply processing is going to continue to increase. There's some really fun reports from IDC that says by 2020, there's going to be 4 billion connected people. I mean, this is not just people on the internet, but Fitbits using different kinds of devices with a $4 trillion revenue opportunity, billions of embedded and intelligent applications creating trillions of gigs of data. Now, I know that sounds insane, right? This is a part of the digital revolution that we are all effectively experiencing. And please, nobody put their fingers in their ears and go sit under a rock, because this is something that's absolutely going to be impacting your business. But let me back up. Let me let the caffeine wear down a little bit and explain what it means to have or be a digital entity. So in the past, and Doug, I'm going to use you as an example here. In the past, let's just say back in like 2000 or something, right? I'd go to Doug Brown because he just started working at, let's just say DABCC, and I'd give him a laptop. And Doug, this would be one of those kick-ass laptops that had a serial port in there, a floppy drive, a parallel port for your .NET printer, and a few applications. And I'd give this laptop to you and say, Doug, it's got a few apps on there. It's got your productivity suite in there. Good luck. Go be productive. This was the old way of doing it. Let's call it the analog way of doing it, where we, the industry, the integrator, the partner, would define a strategy or a compute process to the customer. Today, that's fundamentally different. Doug, who just once again started at DABCC, is going to come to me, his IT administrator, and say, Bill, I've got a laptop, I've got a Chromebook, I've got an iPad, and I've got an iPhone. These are my tools to consume content, applications, data, databases, analytics tools, desktops, applications, whatever. How are you going to deliver technology to me so that I can leverage applications, desktops, data in the best way using the tools that I'm most comfortable with? This is a digital revolution where we are creating these solutions built and based off of what the end user is most productive with. We're allowing them to use the tools that allow them to be most successful effectively without defining to them what tools they need to be effectively using. This is a big part of the digital revolution where we are creating a IP, a digital DNA effectively for devices and people and processes. Let's just call it that we're used to be analog, and this goes beyond just the end user. What about shipping cranes that have sensors now? What about an airplane that's got an IoT sensor on into the engines? Actually, GE just did this, where even while it's flying, if something begins to wear down, the technicians on the ground already know which part to pick out to replace it as soon as the airplane actually lands. So they're not spending 2-3 hours trying to find out what happened, but they already know. And this is the same thing, right? A shipping crane that's simply loading and offloading containers onto a truck, for example. Instead of wondering why something broke for 2 or 3 hours, an administrator can get sensor data almost immediately to see if there's wear and tear, why is there a slowdown, which crane is being impacted, and how to actually resolve the issue very, very quickly. This, basically at a high level, is the transition from analog systems into this digital age where we're leveraging data and we're giving people the tools to consume and use all this technology in the way that they want to. And this is where, and I hate using this word, workspace is really gone beyond understanding just a simple laptop, like the kind that I would have given you, Doug Brown, 17 years ago, as a today, where it's a digital workspace, which basically means you're able to consume technology the way you want to and the way it makes you most productive. In my opinion, that's what it means to be a digital entity today, where you are able to leverage the most powerful technologies and just basically in a profound manner impact end user experience, performance, and true business outcomes. Digital entity.
I love it. I love it. I love it. How about the cloud? What does that, you mentioned the cloud has so many different meanings, and to me, it's always had a billion different meanings. I think of it as the internet. Mm-hmm. And Steve Greenberg loves that. He laughs every time. Every time I see him, he's like, the cloud's the internet, Doug. I'm like, I know. So anyway, what does that mean to you? What does it mean to people today, and where does it fit into the digital entity as you just described it?
That's really interesting to ask that question, and it's kind of fun. I wish I could see the reactions of the listeners to this as I kind of pose this question. But how many of you guys back in the day when the term cloud computing came out, put both of your feet into the pool and just jump right in, right? How many folks said this cloud model is exactly for me? This is what I want to do. Well, we saw an influx of people jumping into this cloud conversation and realizing that the water is a little bit too cold. Let me get out and maybe just dip a toe in. So today, as far as what I'm seeing and what we're defining it as, we're no longer saying cloud in general. We're saying cloud services. What are you actually trying to leverage? Because a lot of customers who at an early inception jumped into the whole cloud conversation, actually they've gotten out of the pool. Just like I said a little bit earlier, they're trying to do something a little bit different. They're saying, whoa, time out. I don't need the entire cloud. I realize now that I might need a certain type of piece of it or a part of it. Maybe I need backup. Maybe I just need resiliency. Maybe I need a DR location. Maybe I need to offload some of my applications, for example. And it doesn't have to be just apps or data. A part of this digital conversation is also understanding what pieces of your environment you want to put into the cloud. And that's an understanding of economics, business economics, CapEx versus OpEx modeling, and if your business is ready to move that environment into the cloud. Now, there's a challenge, right? Because when customers are finally ready to move into the cloud or create their digital transformation, a lot of times traditional suppliers are going to say, we understand that you need A, but really our cloud can only provide you B, right? There's a really fun Henry Ford saying, you can have a car that's any color as long as black, right? And that's what a lot of people felt that cloud was. It was not quite as rigid as people promised. It was a little bit more locked down in the sense. So today, organizations are looking not so much as all-encompassing cloud, but specifically cloud services. And beyond that, looking at a way to create competitive differentiation, advantages, and really trying to see where they can remove current roadblocks of moving into some kind of a cloud service architecture. So I think we've evolved from just saying cloud in general to asking the question of, well, what cloud service do you require? How much cloud do you even really need? And really doing a deeper analysis of the business and understanding where an organization is trying to go to build in the right kind of, cloud or data center or business strategy effectively.
I love it. I could not agree more. The cloud is a highway, and the services are the houses, and the highway itself is useless. We've all driven down dead end roads, and they're no fun. But it's the services that matter, and that's what we consume. I love the way you describe that. That's perfect. So the next thing I wanted to chat about, or have you chat about with, is digital transformation. You hear everybody needs to get on this digital transformation. What does this phrase mean?
So digital transformation, again, and I really think, I think we should title this podcast as like the dictionary of modern jargon terms, right? Yeah. Bill and Doug define marketing. That's a really fascinating concept. So digital transformations are organizations taking a seat, sitting down, and this is not just IT leaders, these are business people, stakeholders within the organization, and saying, we need to find a way to leverage technology, IoT, big data, neural networks, cognitive systems, AI, virtualization. You insert any technology that you want, but specifically, we need to find a way that these new kinds of pieces of technology are going to help us transform our business to allow us to be more competitive, to go after larger total addressable markets, to go after different types of competitive points, and so on. So these organizations are sitting down and looking at applications, user groups, databases, different kinds of services, and asking, well, what can I do with this? How do I put this into a cloud architecture? I know you mentioned this a little earlier. That's something that we're effectively trying to do as well. I'm just shameless plug, anywhereapp.com. You should go there and you're going to see potentially either a countdown or you're going to see the full-on website that we're trying to develop. But that's the concept here, right? And plug aside, what we're trying to effectively do is help organizations define what that journey looks like. And most of all, what we're trying to do is say that custom doesn't have to be challenging. If you have an application or a database, for example, that you can't move into the cloud, for example, it's legacy, let's just say, there are still ways for you to leverage an OpEx model. There are still ways for you to leverage cloud, for example. In just some mechanisms, you just need to be creative and understand that you don't have to offload these environments into a public cloud platform. You can still leverage this stuff on site in a hybrid environment. Literally anywhere you want to consume this, there are systems out there, and I'm waving the MTM flag, that can actually help accomplish this. So a digital journey, I don't care if you're an SMB, mid-market, enterprise organization, across all verticals, almost every single one of the customers that we get a chance to work with, guess what? They're looking at this, or they're asking the question. Everything from corrections facilities to education, pharma, FinServ, government is asking, how do I better leverage technology in conjunction with my business to create better outcomes? And this is not just let me put a new PC in front of somebody, let me just give somebody a really cool Microsoft Surface Book, because they are pretty cool. But it's more so around the experience and the end user and the outcome. How do I change my business to leverage these new digital solutions and services to be truly competitive, to work with a market at an entirely new level? And again, it's a journey. It's an understanding of current dependencies, applications, user behavior, for example, and really driving down that methodology to get to an endpoint where you become a digital entity, one that's leveraging these types of services in a truly ubiquitous manner where you can manage almost everything, see almost everything, and again, impact users anywhere, anytime, leveraging any kind of device. That's the digital transformation that we're experiencing. It's not one answer. Usually it's a conglomeration of answers looking at different technologies and components within a business. But everyone is going through this in one manner or another. If you've done a BYOD sort of research or process, guess what? That's digital transformation. If you're looking at ways to deliver new kinds of virtual applications, or maybe looking at a way to deliver SAP HANA, SQL, or Exchange from the cloud, guess what? That's a part of the digital transformation as well. Or if you're a hospital that you're putting in IoT devices to track workstation on wheels, for example, once again, you're a part of this digital transformation process. And again, it's what technologies you look at and what you can leverage to ultimately impact not just the business, but your customers and your end user experience as well.
Perfect. So you're saying basically everything's changing and transforming, if I may. So on those lines, what does it mean to create a workspace to you? What does a modern workspace look like to Bill?
Man, that's a crazy question. There was a really great Cisco Cloud Index report, and I recommend everybody go out there. Again, it's Cisco Cloud Index. You don't have to register for anything. If you pop it into Google, it's a PDF. You can just get it. You don't have to put your name and just read it. But defining what a workspace is, Doug, if I define it right now, I bet you when you post this podcast, I'm going to get a million feedback comments saying Bill is crazy, wrong, and way too caffeinated. I don't think that's entirely accurate. I mean, how do you define a workspace? Look, there's people that are going to be productive from a damn phone all the way up into multi-screen monitor systems. But the bottom line is you have to look at the evolution of the workspace. In that report that I just mentioned, I mean, we're looking at between now and 2020, global mobile traffic is going to increase by 8 times. We're going to see things like video traffic represent something like 75% of global data traffic that's out there. And look at all of these new kinds of mobile-ready interconnected devices, smartphones, laptops, all these different ways to consume data. So a workspace basically is how you, the end user, consume content that keeps you productive. And let's just keep it at a very high level. It's almost unfair, Doug and listeners, to define a workspace giving it a specific piece of hardware or even giving it a specific piece of delivery technology like XenApp or VMware. It doesn't matter. A workspace, and even more so today's digital workspace, is the complete agnostic delivery of any app, any piece of data, any service or workload to basically any type of user in any environment, call center, operations, DevOps, on a piece of equipment that they are most productive with. That is the workspace that we create, where it's not, again, defined by us, me, or even you, Doug, but specifically by the customers, where our end users come to us and say, this is the workspace for me. This is my workspace. And again, that's a part of this whole digital revolution, the personalization of the user to give them most effective tools out there. So if I were to define it, today's digital workspace is a consumption method leveraging any device and any piece of delivery architecture that allows the end user to consume this data, these applications, and these workloads in the most effective and efficient way possible, and maybe even natural way possible.
Interesting. So you've talked about the everything changing, the back end transform, what have you. What about the user? What's a modern user look like?
Man, that's a fascinating term, and I bet I'm about to. Yeah, it is. So I bet I'm about to tick off just a few people that are going to be on this call. But I was recently speaking with a recruiter on a flight, and she works for a very, very large recruiting firm. And she told me that, believe it or not, more than half of the people and candidates and recruitees that she's working with, they're millennials. They're younger. There's a younger generation that's out there that's, consuming this information in a completely different kind of factor and a different kind of manner. So, when we take a look at the workspace and most of all the end user, there is basically a simple evolutionary point that we're seeing. We're seeing mobile people. We're seeing people that are not doing 9-to-5 work. There was a really great Cisco report that said even standard employees, 60% of them don't sit at a desk for the entire day, right? They move around. They might be at different locations. For example, we're seeing contractors come in being onboarded and offboarded. So you have to have some kind of an agile methodology to deliver all these different kinds of points, data points, applications, desktops, workloads, different types of services specifically. And it's really critical, again, to talk about this where these strategies are being defined by the end user. Corporations are now going to their customers and their end users and asking, what do you need to be productive? What do you require in your everyday life? And excuse me, something that we're seeing certainly within our own organization is the way we are approaching customers and our end users, where we're going to them and saying, here, doctor or nurse or lawyer, tell me what you do every day. Tell me what you do when you come into work. Tell me how long does it take for you to log into a system? Do you need single sign-on? Wow, it takes really long for you to open that application or maybe that database or that specific service that's sitting in the cloud. I wonder why that's happening. So we're focusing more on what the end user is actually doing and how they're processing, and maybe even less on some of those tertiary components out there. We start with the most important element, which is what we've been discussing, the end user, their experience, how they're consuming all this stuff. So back to my earlier point, millennials, and it's not just these guys, right? It's across the board. People are more mobile, leveraging more devices. There's a really fun concept here, right? Everybody listening to this phone call, how many devices do you have in front of you right now? If you take a look at your desk or wherever you're listening to this from, or even whatever you're listening to this on, how many devices do you have in front of you right now? Is it 3? Is it 5 or 6 that can connect to the cloud or the internet? I bet it's a high number. So this type of consumption methodology is actually what's defining the user today. Our job is to make sure that these solutions aren't challenging, that they're done intelligently, and certainly that they're done right. So ultimately, we're trying to cater to the end user regardless of what the requirements are.
Perfect. So we've talked, well, let's get to the customer piece of it. So how do you see the customers out there today? Do they understand what you're talking about? Are they adopting digital transformation in the new way of sort of doing things? Where do the customers, where are their minds?
So I really think the first thing, and I really want to impress this on everybody listening, is fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and the human nature to resist change. And the next following couple of sentences and highly energized points are truly important. I'm speaking to you guys from the heart here. Don't be afraid of change. Embrace it. We're not trying to replace jobs here. We're trying to create more value around jobs and allow people, administrators, users to stop putting out fires and start planting seeds for the organization. So a part of what we're talking about right now, and in terms of working with all these different kinds of solutions, is getting to a new level of digital stability where we are delivering these kinds of solutions for a variety of different kinds of use cases. So when we take a look at the customer, your question of are they adopting it? Look, Doug, everybody, this is going to require a paradigm shift. This isn't just going to be, one podcast today or an article tomorrow. This is going to require you, the listeners, going back into your desk and sitting down and asking yourself the question, well, what is my digital revolution look like? What am I ultimately even trying to accomplish? Am I trying to do, create fewer network risks with them in my data center? Am I trying to simplify management? Am I trying to remove legacy? Am I trying to improve processes or even productivity? Or maybe I'm just trying to do a more predictable IT and business process and IT budget. Regardless of what you're trying to accomplish, ask yourself the question, is my organization on the path towards this digital transformation? And really, You don't have to make it complex. Am I leveraging good technologies? Am I leveraging new kinds of delivery methodologies? Am I thinking about my end users and how this stuff impacts them? Believe it or not, most likely you have maybe already started your digital journey and maybe you don't even realize it yet. But the faster you can create a roadmap, and again, waving the MTM flag, the sooner you can work with a good partner that can guide you along that way, the better you can be. And again, the concept doesn't have to create roadblocks for you either. If you find that there are technologies or a database or an application that's potentially stopping you from getting on this journey, listen, visit anywhereapp.com. Yes, you're going to get some information on there, but know that there are ways around this. Again, custom doesn't have to be challenging. You can deploy these types of digital solutions and strategies and create these journeys, whether they're on-prem, in the cloud, hybrid architectures, or even leveraging a co-location or a data center space. So to answer your question directly, I'm seeing customers actually create the paradigm shift or beginning to create the paradigm shift and understanding the thought process that digital is changing the world, the business, the products being delivered, and most of all, the customers. Yes, we're going to have some people that are going to stick to their legacy guns and say, I don't want to adopt some of these things. I feel that my business is doing it and working. But let me ask you this question. Just because your IT environment works, does it actually bring you value? Is it actually making your end user compute experience easier and a little bit better? And that's an important question to ask. And maybe you even need to query your end users to get to that point. So right now, Doug, it's a lot of education. And everybody in this call, you have to understand that digital journeys, they're unique. They're not defined by anybody except for you. And that's the important point here is that you define it and then you go to you go to partners that can help you build that kind of digital journey. It does not have to be all-encompassing end-to-end. You can put pieces, you can build components into it. You can take baby steps into this, but the point is you have to start. The amount of connected users, devices, the way they're consuming all of this data, it is not going to change. And if you're not going to do this, your competitors will. So right now, we are seeing the adoption happen. It's I don't want to say it's slow. There's certainly a fair trickle of it beginning to go down. But we're certainly talking about this a lot more. Organizations are definitely looking at more operational expenditure models to get rid of this constant spending and to get to more predictable IT and budget processes. But it's happening. And most of all, if it's not yet happening for you, listeners, start thinking about it. Whether it's a small part of your business or a bigger part of your environment, you need to start thinking about your digital journey and working with the right people that can help you build that bridge.
So how do you start? What's the first step?
Step one is really to see the big picture. What am I trying to do and accomplish with this business? And how are my users today consuming this technology? And in that sort of analysis, and again, this is something that we do, we begin to understand where there are gaps in process, where there's process that can be improved, where the end user is potentially underutilizing technology, where it's not bringing value. So the first thing you need to do is do a business analysis, whether it's a business segment, whether it's an entire unit. Let me give you a really great example because you know what? You just asked a phenomenal question, Doug. We've got a customer, right? And we did this wonderful presentation. It was I think it was a Fogo de Chao, if I'm not mistaken. Everyone got a food coma from the amount of meat that they ate. But we had a customer that listened to this message and everything that we're talking about today, and they said, Bill, your message around creating this digital journey, and again, this is more around what we're doing with MTM Anywhere App. Again, shameless plug, anywhereapp.com. But anyway, he heard this message and he said, Bill, I want to take my call center operation and I want to give it to you. And I want to digitize that process because right now I'm managing it. I have my physical and virtual resources dedicated to it. I don't want to do it anymore. I want to make this a completely flexible process. So this person sat down and said, which piece of my business can I digitize and create as a part of this digital transformation process? And for them, it was a call center. The entire operation, they were able to offload that, get rid of the equipment they own, the applications and database, and just put it into this type of solution that managed all of it for them. And the beautiful part here is that when you begin a digital transformation, you also begin to leverage the benefits. So things like dynamic onboarding and offboarding, being able to deliver services to the end user based upon requests, never again overpaying for what you're not actually using. And this is a concept that I'm kind of beginning to rack my brain around, where companies are still paying for, all of these licenses just in case they might have users that are coming in. And sometimes they're overusing like 200, 300, 400 licenses that they're never ever going to need. These new types of OpEx models, a part of this digital transformation process, allows you to consume on a monthly basis only what you're leveraging, not just applications. We're talking like desktops, apps, physical pieces of hardware, cloud technologies, entire services, for example. All of this can be done on an OpEx perspective. And again, that's a part of this digital transformation as well. When you begin this journey, you need to understand which part of the business do I want to digitize? Do I want to put into a different kind of framework? It does not have to be your entire organization. Start small if you need to. But in this case, it was a great use case, and it was a call center that the customer said, I want to get rid of this. I want to make this a part of my digital transformation. What can we do? And we accomplished that.
I love it. I love it. So let's talk about MTM Anywhere. You mentioned it a few times. So let's discuss this thing. Well, first of all, what is it?
Wow, that's a really great question.
It's a wide open question, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a great way to put it on a tee-ball for me and set me up there. I love it. So MTM Anywhere App. A few months ago, let's call this Anywhere App version 0.5, right? We came out there and we started talking about the solution. Now let's get this out of the way. We've been doing managed services with up to 5 nines of uptime, great KPIs, full lifecycle services for more than 15 years with enterprise organizations, global enterprise organizations, no less. But we didn't want to do this. We didn't want to just keep doing this typical managed services thing. We didn't want to keep being a so what organizations. Yes, MTM is the biggest Citrix partner in the country. Yes, we're really good at XenApp and XenDesktop, and we're amazing at virtualization. I mean, we just won Virtualization and Networking Partner of the Year at Summit. But we don't just want to be known as only that. So we actually took a step back and did a very deep market analysis and learned that companies are creating the digital strategies, but a lot of it's still custom. And a lot of organizations don't just want to move with one kind of cloud environment. And what we've done with MTM Anywhere App is that we've gone down to the end user and we've said, listen, time out. We understand that you might have legacy apps, databases, SAP HANA, Exchange, Oracle. It doesn't matter. What we're saying to you is give us your most difficult workloads, any of them, and we're going to digitize them for you. Any app, any workload, locally streamed, SaaS, Citrix, Microsoft, VMware, to any kind of infrastructure, on-prem cloud, hybrid, enterprise, branch, public, community cloud, to any type of user, power admin, call center, we talked about that earlier, executive, to any kind of device. This is what we talked about earlier, corporate, BYOD, mobile, here's the kicker, Doug and listeners, IoT devices as well as a part of this, and ultimately anywhere, remote, on-site traveling. And throughout all of this, we're building in intelligence. So you get a chance to work with infrastructure, lifecycle services, software licensing, project services. All of this is built in to one price per month, per user, and it's completely consumption-based. And you got to catch this with me. We can put a physical infrastructure directly on-site into your environment, help you create a hybrid cloud connection into, for example, AWS, just in case you can't move a piece of your environment between an on-premise ecosystem or into the cloud. That is true digital customization, where it does not have to be challenging, when you can have any car, any color, and it does not have to be black, right? Our Henry Ford model a little bit earlier. So the idea here is that we are giving users way beyond a managed services architecture, but an operational model, OpEx model, that gives you a complete platform around any kind of workload delivery. And here's the thing, Doug. There's really cool automation components built into this. So let me give you an example. We've got a service store, and into this service store, you, Doug Brown, you just started with MTM Technologies, and you just sign in. The first thing you do is you get an email saying, hey, Doug, welcome to the organization. It's really a pleasure to have you here. Here are the top 5 applications people in your organization choose to work with. Go ahead and download these right now. Oh, and also you can request a dictation device, a printer, a USB mouse, a cell phone, for example, and all of that is audited, controlled, and most of all, it's automated. So you can get the delivery of physical and virtual services on any type of device where you're consuming this data. I don't care if it's a Chromebook, an iPhone, whatever. And here's the really cool part about Anywhere App. We help you directly control the onboarding and offboarding of small or massive amount of users. So if you're an educational organization and you're running an Anywhere App, you've got 500 users in, I don't know, let's say May, and then or 1,000 users in May, and then over the summer, you only have 500. So when that month flips over, guess what? You're only paying for 500 users. And when all of your students come back in, you're going to increase your amount, and you're only paying consistently for the amount of users that are on your network. Here's the really cool part. There's intelligence built into this, a lot of it. So if you come to us and you say, man, we're running out of Office licenses, we need 100 more, this environment is smart enough to go in and say, well, time out. You've got 200 Office licenses. It could be Office 365. It could be on-prem. It doesn't matter that you haven't leveraged in over 6 months. So what this environment is actually going to do for you is re-provision those licenses, physical or virtual assets, back to the organization so you can leverage them. So Anywhere App created a foundational base where we can take any workload and deliver it into the cloud. Now, of course, one of the base workloads here is going to be either an application hosted environment, so like Zen App or Zen Desktop, for example. That's what it's built on. If our customer requests some kind of a hosted desktop or VDI, we can absolutely deliver it. But it's really, really important to understand that it is way, way beyond just those traditional workspace products. Physical servers, hypervisors, storage that supports the solutions, any sort of Microsoft architecture, and obviously the other technologies supported. So like AppV, Unidesk, for example. And absolutely, we actually built in things like Trend Micro endpoint detection and response, next generation security into this as well. So I know that was extraordinarily verbose, but MTM Anywhere App basically is an architecture that simplifies cloud workspaces and makes custom not challenging and helps effectively remove any barrier to that digital journey that we talked about earlier, and helps people get on their way and really leverage this digital transformation process in a completely new fashion.
I love it. I love it. I mean, you give the best answers. I don't even have to ask follow-ups. I started writing things down and it's like, whoops, he answered that. Whoops, he answered that. That's great. I have to ask, the Anywhere, that includes iGel. So can you talk a bit about, how you guys have slotted in what, these fine folks these really brilliant folks over at iGel are doing?
Wow, we love the solution over at iGel, and honestly, I don't think we could have done it without them, right? So the endpoint is beyond critical, and if you've seen what iGel's been doing, everything from their small USB dongles that can convert, let's just say, almost anything into a thin client, super secure PC, into their management ecosystem. So time out. What's amazing here is that the amount of endpoints that we're seeing continues to increase, but they're not PCs and their desktops. Guess what they are? They're endpoints, they're mobile devices, they're thin clients beyond anything else. So as a part of MTM Anywhere App, you can deploy these endpoints on a completely consumption-based model. And not just that, manage them extremely intelligently beyond any kind of location parameters, any type of users, whatever they're trying to actually access, and then further completely secure the entire architecture in that kind of environment. So what iGel brings to the table is a new kind of endpoint technologies which keeps the end user experience truly rich. But then beyond that, from a management perspective, it allows IT organizations and managers to manage the entire environment in a truly effective manner. So when we take a look at iGel as a big part of this, these are the corporate endpoints that help fuel the consumption of all these digital tools. And what ultimately iGel allows us to do is create a management framework that's simplified, that's easier, that's proactive, for example, and allows us to create a workspace, I'm going to use that word, that's highly resilient as well and has a consistent user experience. Again, one of the best partners to work with, and a really critical piece of componentry into the Anywhere App architecture that helps us again, focus on one of the most important parts of digital transformation, the end user, right? Giving them a powerful experience every single time they log on. But not just that, a secure one as well. There's no surprise why we're seeing smaller amounts of laptops and desktops. We don't want to control those. We don't want to put apps on there. We don't want to put any data on there. So these thin client technologies are absolutely amazing, especially from iGel, where we can deploy them in healthcare, FinServe, pharma, correctional institutions, and everywhere in between, knowing that the data is safe and that the experience is constantly rich. So as a part of MTM Anywhere app, this is an endpoint delivery methodology where we can truly enable the end user to consume technologies, applications, desktops in a really powerful manner.
I love it. I don't. That's. I'm going to record that, and when someone asks me, "Tell me about iGel," I'm just going to say, "Well, excuse me." Here we go. That was perfect. So you're going to be at the iGel booth too at Synergy, talking about MTM's Anywhere, correct?
I cannot wait to be there and do that. Doug, I'm going to be out Synergy full force with. I'm not going to have any Red Bull. Usually that stuff literally gives me wings and I get all shaky. Maybe a cup of coffee. But I'm going to be there on Wednesday, the 24th, starting around 1:15 or so. You're going to see all of us amazing MTMers wearing these cool teal Fitbits. And by all means, please just come by, ask us about it. Excuse me. At the booth, we are going to be doing a full-on demo. You're going to get a chance to see what it looks like from the end-user perspective, what it looks like from the managerial perspective, like actual business owners, and then what it looks like from an IT perspective as well. You're going to get a chance to see arguably one of the most revolutionary solutions out there, unique solutions out there. Now, I'm going to go on a limb. I don't think anybody else is doing what we're doing to the extent of the partnerships that we've made, the contracts that we've created, and the unique solution that we've designed to truly create a digital transformation process that doesn't care what you're trying to, quote unquote, digitize. So come by, ask us about it, find one of the wonderful folks wearing either a shirt or one of those teal Fitbits, and we'll be more than happy to show you what this is, how it works. Hey, by the way, on that day, on the 24th at 1:15, we're also going to have a customer. This customer's got an Anywhere app infrastructure. They've got 1,500 users leveraging it. Here's the price. $135 per user per month, and they get all of the stuff that we talked about earlier. The lifecycle services, the direct connection into an AWS architecture that was for them specifically, reporting, unlimited image maintenance and patching, the res environment, trend micro from a security perspective, and also design, implementation, and management. So find us on Wednesday. You're going to get a chance to hear from a real-life customer, and you will see a really fun, energized demo from yours truly.
I can't wait. I will be there for sure. You're like a Ginsu commercial, Bill.
Oh, you know what? I'm just selling ShamWows all day long. That's what I do on my free time.
Yeah. But your stuff works really well.
You're right.
Actually, I heard the ShamWow did work very well, but that guy was a little bit. You're the real deal. So, I wanted to keep this right about an hour, and we're right about an hour. So I'll give you the last word. If there's anything, is there anything we left out? We could dive deeper. Maybe after Synergy, we can bring you back on, and we can just have one podcast just dedicated to MTM's Anywhere solution. We can dive into the different components and what have you. But today we wanted to more talk about the industry as a whole. I love your answers. This is great stuff, and it's as you mentioned, so important. It's not 1980s anymore. So
yep.
I'm rambling at this point. So is there anything we left out? I'll give you the last word, and then we'll go ahead and call this an episode. Well, and then also if you could tell us where to learn more. Absolutely.
So kind of a final word here, and I'll really try not to be too verbose, but don't just sit back and watch this digital revolution fly you by. Don't do that, and just become a part of it. If anything, just start a conversation. Look, you've got my information. Doug's going to post it on the podcast and below it. Just drop me a line or find me on Twitter. QuadStack is my Twitter name. Find me on LinkedIn. It doesn't matter. I'll tell you a little bit more where you can find us on MTM, actually MTM.com or anywhereapp.com. Reach out to us. But the point is, start the conversation. Ask your own users and your business leaders, Hey guys, Mr. Manager, Mr. VP, Mr. President, Ms. Director, Ms. Controller, it doesn't matter. What are we doing to impact our users? Well, what are we changing in our business to be more competitive? What technologies are we even leveraging? Are we still just all on-prem? Remember, digital transformations aren't just apps and desktops. They are entire business processes. They are levels of automation, for example, and there are levels of user enablement. Have good conversations with your partners. Again, waving the MTM flag, give us a call, but just start talking about it. And you will quickly see there's many pieces of your business that can become a very active part of this digital transformation, and they can create really amazing value and beautiful outcomes for your business. Most of all, you're going to start seeing that with your end users. They're going to be more productive, happier to leverage this kind of technology, and most of all, impact your business in profound ways. Again, find out more about us, mtm.com. Our Twitter handle is at MTM_INC. Find us on LinkedIn and Facebook. We are all over the place. You can follow my blogs and podcasts and tweets and all that stuff. Again, at QuadStack is my Twitter handle. And again, you can find me on Facebook and LinkedIn and everywhere else. Feel free to connect. Doug, it has been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. This is a wonderful, wonderful podcast. I can't wait for people to get just as energized about digital transformations as we are. But I really hope to see everyone on Wednesday the 24th at the iGel booth at around 1:15. Come by, see our message, get as energized as we are. And I can't wait to see everyone and talk about more digital conversations. So thank you again.
Hey, thank you so much, Bill. And it's quite interesting. I've never met anyone that talks about digital transformation that's not really excited. And maybe it's a really exciting subject. Well, it is. I'm really excited. But all you guys are really excited about this stuff, and it's the future. I mean, what's not to be excited about? But over the topics, I love it. Absolutely, it's infectious. Is the right word for it. Bill, thank you so much again, and guys out there listening, thank you. Let's go ahead and call this an episode. Sound good?
Wonderful. Thank you, guys. Thank you to amazing listeners. Doug Brown, once again, thank you. This was awesome. Let's do it again.
Thank you. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I hope you guys did too. I love this type of stuff because I like going through, the non-typical, but it's really the typical, which is what we're hearing every day: digital transformation, digital entity, cloud. What's all this mean, and what's it mean today? What's it mean to you? What can we do about it? And then, of course, I'm really excited about what MTM's doing. I'm excited about what everyone's doing out there today. But what MTM's doing with their Anywhere app is quite impressive. So if you guys are at Synergy, definitely stop by the booth at 1:15. Let me get this date. Bill had it memorized. 1:15 on the 24th, which is Wednesday at the iGel booth. A big, giant booth. You won't be able to miss us. And from there, listen to Bill talk. Get to meet Bill, which is a great thing. And then see the product, see what they're created, which is I'm really looking forward to. I've seen it, but I'm really looking forward to seeing it again and diving deeper into it. They're onto something big, as you could tell. Bill's not slow. He's not slowing down. He's onto something big. So on that note, guys, thank you so much for listening to this DABCC podcast. Without you, there is no podcast. So the listener is key to us. I hope you enjoy the episodes. If you do, please let me know. If you see me at Synergy, definitely say hello. I like meeting new people. And if I know you, please come up to me and say hello, because I like you, because I know you. So if I don't like you, then don't come up to me. But I like everybody, so except for mean people. Anyway, I'm rambling at this. Bill got me excited. That was wow. I loved it. So, guys, thank you so much. Definitely head over to www.dabcc.com for the latest and greatest virtualization and cloud news, support, resources, and much more than even that. So we have a Ginsu knife there too. What else do I say? But thank you for listening to DABCC Radio.
Can you say DABCC?
DABC.
Say it again, DABCC.
DABC.
Can you say it again, DABCC?
DABC.
How about DABCC?
DABC.
DABCC.
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 DABCC.